This video is going to look at comparing fractions and how we can compare fractions without using any fraction tools. So on your anchor chart you have some of the steps that you can use when you're comparing fractions, and we're going to work through these in order, and I want you to fill in the examples on your chart as you watch the video. So the first question you're going to ask yourself when you're comparing fractions is, are the numerators the same? So if we look here, we see that both numerators are 4. So the answer to that question is yes, the numerators are the same. When the numerators are the same, the fraction with the greater denominator is smaller. This might seem a little backwards from what you're used to, but if you think about what the denominator means, it's how many pieces we're dividing the whole into. So one way to think about it is if you're sharing a candy bar with 5 people, the pieces are going to be bigger than if you're sharing that same candy bar with 8 people. The more parts you divide it into, the smaller each part gets. So the numerators are the same, so the fraction with the greater denominator, which is 8, is smaller. So 4/5 is greater than 4/8. If the numerators are not the same, the second question you're going to ask yourself is, are the denominators the same? So in this example, we can see that yes, the denominators are the same. They're both 9. So our whole is divided into 9 equal parts. So now we can just compare our numerators. The fraction with the greater numerator is larger. So think about what this means. If I have a candy bar and I've divided it into 9 pieces, in this fraction, I'm only getting to eat 5 of the pieces. In this fraction, the same candy bar is divided into the same 9 equal parts, and I get 8 of them. That's more. So 5/9 is less than 8/9. Okay, let's say you're looking at a fraction and the numerators are different and the denominators are different, like this one, 3/4 and 2/8. The third question you're going to ask yourself is, can you use 1/2 to help you? So let's think about this. 3/4 is more than 1/2 because 3 is more than half of 4. So I'm going to make a little note here. 3/4 is more than 1/2. 2/8 is less than 1/2 because 2 is less than half of 8. So I can use that to help me compare. 3/4 is more than half, and 2/8 is less than half, then 3/4 is more than 2/8. Okay, here's another example with 1/2. So the numerators and denominators are different, so I'm going to use 1/2 and see if that will help me. Well, here I know that 2/4, I'm going to start on this side because that really jumps out to me. I know that 2/4 is equal to 1/2. Okay, I know that 4/6 is more than 1/2 because 4 is more than half of 6. So then I know that 4/6 is greater than 1/2. Here's another example where we can use 1/2 to help us. 5/10. 5 is half of 10. So 5/10 is equal to 1/2. 3 is half of 6. So 3/6 is also equal to 1/2. So I know that these two fractions are equal. It will really help you compare fractions if you can kind of start to memorize what fractions are equal to 1/2 and start to be able to recognize that. Okay, let's say you've gone through all 3 of those questions and the answer is no. The numerators are different, the denominators are different, and 1/2 isn't helping. Like in this example, 2 is less than half of 5 and 4 is less than half of 10. So that really doesn't help me compare them. I know they're both smaller than 1/2, but I don't know which one's bigger. So what I can do now is I can multiply to find a common denominator. So what that means is I want to try to get my denominators to be the same number. So we've learned that if we multiply a fraction, if we multiply the top and the bottom by the same number, we'll get another fraction that's equal. So I'm going to think, okay, what can I do to 5 to get to 10? Just like when we were doing equivalent fractions. Well, I can multiply by 2. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 2 is 10. Now my denominators are the same, and I can see that these two fractions are equal. They're equivalent. 2/5 is equal to 4/10. Okay, let's look at another one. Again, I've gone through my list of questions. The numerators are different. The denominators are different. If I look at these, I can tell both of them are more than 1/2. So 1/2 isn't really going to help me. So I need to multiply. So I want to make my denominators the same. So I'm going to say, okay, what can I do to 3 to get to 9? Well, I can do 3 times 3. So I need to multiply the top and the bottom by 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. So that tells me that 2/3 is equal to 6/9. So now I can compare 6/9 and 8/9 because the denominators are the same. 6 is less than 8. So 6/9 is less than 8/9, or 2/3 is less than 8/9.